So now that we understand how the test works, I'll tell you what I use. The only resource that I use to pass the Nclex is YouTube family. What's good? It's your boy Trev CN, and yes, I am in another video, and you see the title, so you know what I'm gonna talk about. Today, what I'm gonna talk about is how I passed my Nclex, which is the licensing exam for nurses. How I passed it in 75 questions. Just a little disclaimer: I took my Nclex in 2018, so at that time the minimum amount of questions was 75, and the max was 265. I know in 2020, due to the pandemic, that they lowered it. I'm not too sure what the maximum was, but I know the minimum was 65 questions, I believe. So now it's 2021. I'm not too sure what they're gonna do with it now. I haven't kept up with it. But if you listen to what I'm telling you, you're gonna pass it the minimum. So if they wanna make the minimum 40, you pass it in 40. They wanna make it 50, you pass it in 50. If they bring it back up to 75, you pass it in 75, basically. So that's the goal of this video right here, just to give you a quick video, tell you what I did, and it's gonna be quick because it was basically one thing that I did. But just a quick little plug. You see the t-shirt, man. This is Curve Lab. This is my baby. This is my business that I just launched. It's a health and fitness business where basically I'm trying to cultivate a lifestyle and basically combine both health and fitness to just improve the quality of life for everybody through a variety of products and services that I plan on launching real soon. So, you know, follow Curve Lab on Instagram. That's where the majority of the market is going to be. That's the majority of where like the announcement is going to be at. And I'm going to be giving out a lot of free gems on the Instagram. So make sure you follow Curve Lab with a Kurve LAB. No periods, no underscores, nothing. All right. So definitely look out for that. But before we get into it, you know what you gotta do. We gotta talk about it in every single video. You know what you gotta do. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. All right. Let's get into it. First and foremost, what is the Nclex? The Nclex is the licensing exam for all nurses here in the States, the USA. So basically, once you finish school, you have to take this test and get your license. You can't practice legally as a registered nurse until you get your license, which the only way you get that is by passing your Nclex. So what happens is that after you graduate, your school sends off your paperwork and just basically notifies like the state that you have officially finished nursing school and that now you wanna, you know, basically take your Nclex and get your license. So you have to wait for all the paperwork to get processed. I know for me, I finished school in the fall, so I finished school in December. So for me, it took a little while because right after I finished, I probably finished at the middle of December. I had to wait for the holidays to pass. So Christmas, New Year's. So I don't even know when they started processing it. But I didn't get my ATT number. And your ATT number is what you use to actually sign up for the exam. I didn't get my ATT number until like maybe the end of January. And I couldn't schedule until like the first week of February, which was like the earliest. And I graduated in December. So that's basically how it goes. Like I said earlier, for me, the format was 75 questions being the minimum, 265 being the maximum. And the way that it goes is basically you could say that this is the max amount of questions, this is the least amount of questions, and there's a bar. For every right question you get, your bar goes up. The bar goes up, and this is the line to pass. For every question that you get wrong, the bar goes down. So you could basically be here, be here, be here, be here, and keep going on and on and on. So if you were to get all the questions right and pass at 75, let's just say you got a couple wrong, whatever, but you were able to pass that line that they set, you would pass in 75. Let's say you got a couple more questions wrong, but not to the point where you failed. So you kind of like doing this a little bit, like going up and down, up and down. And let's say by the time you got to question 200, you kind of passed that passing line, that you pass in 200. So that's how it works. So that's why people pass at different times. Some people pass in 75. Some people take the test all the way to 265 and then pass. Some people pass at 80. Some people pass at 150. You could pass. It just depends on how many you get right and how many you get wrong. So that's how the test works. So now that we understand how the test works, I'll tell you what I use. The only resource that I use to pass the Nclex is UWorld. If you have searched how to pass the Nclex, you've probably seen at least half a dozen people talk about UWorld, because at the time when I used UWorld is still a fairly new company, but when I used UWorld, it was still kind of new. I think it's probably only been out maybe like 2-3 years by the time I used it. Now everyone knows it. So yeah, UWorld, that's the only thing I used. I think I listened to like a couple Mark Clement speeches, but basically all I use is UWorld. UWorld is the only thing you need. Look at me. UWorld. That's the only thing you need. Like literally, you don't need anything else. Like you could look back at your notes if there's something that you really, really don't feel confident with, but for the most part, you use UWorld. So what I did was, when you go to sign up for UWorld, there's different packages. I believe I used the one, I think it was 2,000 practice questions and 2 practice tests. So basically, they give you a test just like the Nclex, and then you pass or fail it, whatever. They give you the rationales, all that good stuff. So you get 2 of those official tests. So I did the one where it was 2. I think there's one where there's 1, there's one where there's 2, and maybe one where there's 3 or more questions. The only thing you really need is the one with 2, at least in my opinion. That's what I use. So yeah, that's what I did. I didn't use anything else. So now to go into my process of, what I did with UWorld and the steps that I took. Basically, I manifested that I was gonna pass the 75. That was my goal. That I'm gonna come in, kill the test, pass the 75, and go. Because I didn't want to go into the point where I'm like, I'm in the 80s, I'm in the 90s, I'm in the hundreds, and now like anxiety's kicking in. At the end of the day, anxiety could kick in when you pass the 75, because you could have, not pass 75, when the test is over at 75, because you could have failed the 75. But me, I just had it in my head, I'm passing 75. And not that it matters, There's some people that go all the way to the end of the test and they pass. It doesn't matter. Your employer's not gonna ask you, oh, did you pass in 200 or did you pass in 205? It doesn't matter. As long as you get it, you get it. But for me, that was my personal goal. So the way that I went about studying was I took so when you do the 2,000 questions, right? They have the 2,000 question bank. You could set how many questions that you want to do in like that particular time frame or whatever setting, wherever you at. So you could set it like, okay, give me 50 questions, give me 100 questions, whatever. You could pick what topics that you want, and you go from there. So how I did it was I let UWorld pick all the topics. So I basically said all the topics were up for grabs, so it was completely random, and I would do 75 questions every day as if I was taking the Nclex. So I was doing 75 questions every day until I don't even think I finished the whole bank. I think I got up to maybe like 1,800, 1,900 questions. But every day I would do 75 questions. I would sit down, put back like maybe 3 hours of my day for studying, and that's what I did. So I'll do the 75 questions straight up as if I was taking a test, sit down, not be around anybody, put my phone away, take the 75 questions. After I took the 75 questions, I read every single rationale. This is key. Look at me again. Reading the rationales in UWorld is key, because those rationales are so in depth and they're good. Even if you got the question right, read the rationale. So if every day you want to do less questions or more, I don't think it matters too much. Like if you want to just do 100 every day, if you want to do 50 every day because you got more time, whatever you do, I don't think it matters too much. That aspect is not that important. The important thing is reading the rationales. They got charts, diagrams, all that good stuff. So like I said previously, even if you got it right, read the rationale, because there might be like a mnemonic that they might mention that's like, oh, okay, good, like this is something that I never thought about before. So it's just gonna help embed it into your mind. You understand what I'm saying? And that's basically what I did, man. That's basically what I did. I think after halfway, when I was halfway to the point where I'm about to take my Nclex, I took the first practice exam and took it straight up. And I think the second practice exam, I think I took a week before my Nclex, just so I could see where I was at, what things I was struggling with, so I could just review through that really quick right before I took my exam. And yeah, that's what I did. I went to the test. I was probably I think I was the first person that left, first or second. I was out of there in like an hour, some change. It shut off. I felt pretty confident. I did the little trick the next day, where you see if you can re-register, and I couldn't re-register, so I knew I passed. And that was basically it, man. UWorld will take you there for sure. You can reference videos. It's something that you really don't understand. Like I didn't know OBGYN too well, because like throughout that whole class and clinical, I was just doing whatever I had to do just to pass, because I didn't care too much about that. So now I'll review through that a little bit. But yeah, you will, you're good. Get your license, get to work, start making that money, start saving lives, and you'll be straight. All right. So that's the video. Hope this helps you guys. Like, if you watch this, just do what I say and you're good. Don't worry about it. And if you do fail, you can always take it again. Don't get too discouraged about that, all right? But we manifesting good thoughts, so you're gonna pass that, all right? So again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? Stay cool.